Thank you. We would like to have 2 or 3 interventions. First here, il y en a encore là, s'il vous plaît, et puis ici au premier rang. Je vous en prie.
Hello, my name is Maddie. I am the co-founder of a new non-profit organization called The World is Home. And this is a result of our world tour with our children, where we have met our big enemy, which is the single-use plastic in many forests and oceans and so on. And we decided as we came back that because we believe the same thing as you just said, that that bill is going to be passed on to our children and they will have to pay for it, or maybe our grandchildren, well, we cannot really close our eyes to it. We are not ecologists or environmentalists, we're just normal people. And one of these questions that I really, or the point that I miss here, is transparency. I would like to understand, as a mother of 3 small children, what happens to my yogurt box, or the plastic wrappings in my bin. What happens to that exactly? And I don't talk about these fancy numbers of super recycling Germany. I talk about the reality. I mean, how much is actually recycled? I want to know that so that I, as a consumer, can take that moment of reflection before I buy that product. Just like I know the ingredients in, I don't know, cookies or anything I buy in the shop, I want to know how much toxins every single plastic that I buy contains. And I want that to be clearly stated on the packaging. Because I believe that the beginning comes from the consumer, not the vice versa. I believe it's the demand that drives the supply. And I believe that if I refuse that, because I'm afraid that I'm going to pollute the planet for my kids, I refuse that because I'm afraid I'm going to poison my children, I think that's where the change comes from, and that's what we're trying to do.
It was there, but it was in the coded language of the Commission. It's called...
Okay.
It's called
transparency, easy language.
It's called product passport.
Okay.
It's actually, the idea is that you would have the possibility of all the details, what is included in the product, that you would have also the possibility to know from where are various things originating. So all the food which you are buying, all the packaging which you are buying, all textile which you are buying would have a kind of a product passport. So passport.
Also where it ends up?
It could be also. It could be.
Is it a landfill? Is it an incineration? Is something going to be done with it?
That's what the product doesn't know, but that's what you will have to ask your
government. Yeah?
Your government, yes. Yeah. But the idea is exactly that with the possibility to access the data, with the possibility that we basically on mobiles have access to all that it would be organized in a way that you would be empowered in a transparent way, that you can do the decisions by deciding in that or that direction. But yes, it is the idea. It's exactly that too.
Thank you. Another question there.
Thank you very much to bring your message to the EU tops. And I hope you will also have some possibilities to have a great discussion with our former Prime Minister, Charles Michel, because I think he needs to develop his way of systemic thinking. My specific question is about the discussion between the EU and the World Trade Organization, because you explained that circular economy is based on issue about the trading between consumer and producers. So my main question is, what are the current negotiations between the EU and the World Trade Organization about circular economy?
About EU and which one?
The World Trade Organization, the organization.
One trade. Frankly, I'm not employed in the Commission anymore. I have no clue what they negotiate. But I've had the debate with Charles Michel already on one-to-one for 2 hours, and we discussed those issues. Yeah, but I really don't know where. No, it's.
No.
I think the bare fact that they organized us around the table to discuss those issues, it's a good sign. And of course, by the way, all those things were. I can tell you the whole history, because about the history it's easy to talk. It's more difficult to talk about how people will react in the future. But how many of you remember that the package of circular economy, which I have proposed in July 2014, was in December removed by this commission, by previous commission? Yeah, you see, 5 hands, congratulations, or 6. So I just want to say that the things are moving, so we are starting now. We have an ideal opportunity now with this start. Let's use it. So if the bar was set so high by the Commission, saying we want to have 2050 Europe climate neutral, we want to have 2050 no new net land take. If the bar is there, with any step which is done, show them the bar. Because that's the only way. But the bar was set by them. And it's essential now that we use the opportunity which we have and help them, because you have to understand that like any institutions, also the European Commission, where really a lot of intelligent people are working, it's to a certain, if not large extent, biased by the structures which are existing and which are protecting the logic which existed and which are defending their own future, like anybody of you. It's looking through your optic to your own future. And we have to help them. We have to help them opening their eyes. We have to help them by delivering different kind of answers to their questions and to their approaches, because it's essential. And if you want to move the things further, the only argument serious which you have is the ambition which they have set to themselves. That's the one which should drive our approach and our help.
We have two last interventions. Ladies, it's up to you.
Thank you. I'm Lotte Stoops. I'm a green parliamentary in Brussels. And I have a question. I heard all your, what you told us about the degrowth and other ways of looking at economy. And I was asking myself, does Europe also discuss commoning and the commons as a concept, or not really?
Commons, anything which is public, it's a debate about commons. So what you have particularly in the mind when you talk about commons?
Well, commons, the whole new thinking about commoning, commons as collective rethinking of resources, actually, the whole citizen initiatives that are the whole new concept of commons.
All those things are, I'm a firm believer that the things in reality are happening with the interaction between bottom up and top down. So it's always like that. And anything what is connected to the concept of public ownership, it's about commons, because it's public. And if you want, my major problem in the whole structure of everything is that the people who are paid by public money don't understand that they have to defend public interest only. And that's the real problem, because if you are paid by public money, you have to do that. And so be afraid of the politicians which have political career as their job, because they don't have alternatives. And that's why they act in the first place maximizing their own future and not your future, which of course they try to combine, but they try to combine it so that it's in the first place their future. So it's always, that kind of interaction between public and private, and you have heard many times that there is a lot of lobbying from the private sector and so on. Of course, that's natural. I think I've never had the problem with any lobbying of anybody who came to my office, but I was listening always to the people who came from civil society, from NGOs, as much as from the companies, because you have to listen. You are there paid by their money to listen to them, but what is the decision which you take? It's your responsibility. That's where you have to follow the public interests and the commons, if you want, in a way. But it's essential also to work with, so the power of the cities, if they would reconnect and better, I don't know, you have this covenant of mayors and so on, This is enormous power if somebody would really stand behind and try to organize it for a change. And the power of the youth, it's enormous change and enormous power. By the way, even the power of the encyclica of the Pope Francis, it's enormous power because it's mobilizing an important amount of population behind. So take all who want positive change on your side and bring them along with you, because that's the only way how the change could be done.
A very quick last question, please.
Okay, I'm Christina, and I live on a really wonderful planet, together with all sorts of species. And I was wondering what you were going to say about food, because you mentioned that it was very important. But then the yogurt question came, and then I thought, all those questions are very good, but it's still quite anthropocentric. Because what is the waste of yogurt if it's made from milk? It's also calves, because they're a product that they can't use afterwards, but they need it to make the milk. So there's a lot more questions, and I think if we just enlarge our vision of things outside of us here as humans, then maybe we could have another kind of behavior also, because you talk about the future of our children, but there's a lot of children already dying, so it's not the future, it's now. And Zizek also says the violence of our status quo, it's unbearable. So thank you for
you're absolutely right.
Intervention.
Sometimes it's a bit unfair to talk about the future, because indeed it's now. And there are many, we are in a luxurious and privileged situation that we can talk about future. There are many who are not in that luxurious situation, and they have only the real discussion about the children and the generations which are living now. Yeah, they are, of course they are not just human. And that was the Poirot slide was actually trying to tell that. I think it's really, in essence, it's that question: how seriously we take our own responsibility, and are we ready to take that on board, or will we behave as masters? Because it's sometimes easier. Yeah. So. Okay, but anyway, I know that you are running out of time. Thanks for this nice conversation. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Potocnik.